I'm not telling you anything you don't know. Times are tough, right? I feel like we're in constant change. Everything's in flux, and we are constantly kind of rolling in a sea of crap. To be honest, this feels like a sea of crap. Well, it probably feels, if you're like most of us, that you are selling more effort, more time, lots more is going into selling than you're getting back in return. It feels like your return on investment is really low these days. Like it's kind of just really drip, drip, drip. And you're lucky if you get what you get. All right. Like that's just cherry on the cake, so to speak. Now, the problem is we all need more eyes on us. We all need to be selling more. We all need to get in front of people who are really interested in the products and the services and the things that we are offering them. But who has time for extra? None of us have time to do more than we're already doing. It feels like we're already stretched pretty thin. And that in and of itself brings a lot of its own problems with it. And that, my friends, that's where Dot was. Now, Dot had an entire life before she started Dot's Delicious Desserts and Delectable Delights, as we all did. And, you know, things, they change. The company that she was working for was on shaky ground before the pandemic. I mean, it was not sure they were going to last much longer. So I guess one could argue that the pandemic was a mercy killing. Well, for the business, not so much for the employees. Employees like Dot, she kind of got screwed in the whole thing. She was left at 50 having to reinvent herself after the company closed down. And if you're like most of us, small home, self-employed business owners, this is probably your third or fourth reinvention. I always say it's your second act, but it's probably maybe closer to your third or fourth. And that's okay. You know, we all got into that situation after the big pandemic where our side gig, something that we needed to do for extra money, which that's a whole separate subject right there, okay? That's a whole nother kettle of fish to open. But we had a side gig that was trying to bring us in some money, and because of the pandemic, that side gig has now officially become our only gig. And you worked hard for years, hustling, you know, just like Dot. We were out there, we were hustling, she was working. She was able to finally, after years of working the farmer's market circuit, get a small brick and mortar place. It was a little expensive, but she felt like things were heading in the right direction. She felt like this was the move that she needed to make, that it was where she needed to take her business to at the moment. Now, the problem was, after some initial success, you know, we're always the new kid on the block, so people kind of get real excited about us. Things really started dropping off. She was not the center of attention anymore. People were not coming in. She wasn't seeing any of the old familiar faces. She wasn't seeing any faces, if we're being honest. And she needed to get back to being the center of attention again, and in a good way, in a way that makes sense, in a way that helped her grow her business. Now, there's a lot here, right? There's a lot usually here, and there's a lot to talk about and get into. So we'll get into it a little bit deeper after this. So let's...